Institutions and agencies to control money laundering in Pakistan. National Executive Committee, NEC, and NCC. The NEC is a high-level body established to oversee both policy and implementation matters of the anti-money laundering and counter-financing of terrorism regime. Other members of the NCC include 3 senior officials from the military's General Headquarters, GHQ, secretaries of Foreign Affairs, Interior, and Finance, and heads of all institutions and regulatory bodies related to money laundering and terror financing. These include the Governor of the State Bank of Pakistan, SBP, Chairman of the Securities and Exchange Commission of Pakistan, SECP, Director General of the Federal Investigation Agency, FIA, Member, Customs of the Federal Board of Revenue, FBR, and DG of the Financial Monitoring Unit, FMU. Military officers in sensitive positions, such as the Director General Military Operations, DGMO, and a Director General of the Inter-Services Intelligence, ISI, may also be part of the NEC on terror financing and money laundering. Initially, 3 agencies, the National Accountability Bureau, NAB, the Federal Investigation Agency, FIA, and the Anti-Narcotics Force, ANF, were empowered to investigate and prosecute relevant parties under Section 2F of the AMLA. Later, the Directorate General, Intelligence and Investigation Inland Revenue, FBR, was included via notification by the Ministry of Finance and Revenue dated August 24, 2010. Performance of Financial Monitoring Unit, FMU of Pakistan. 41,255 suspicious transaction reports have been received by the FMU since its inception until September 30, 2019. Of the total STRs, 22%, mostly high-risk STRs, were disseminated to law enforcement agencies, LEAs, and regulators. 42% were recorded after initial analysis. 36% were identified as low-risk STRs. From 2015 to September 2019, top 125 financial intelligences containing 4,647 STRs were disseminated to LEAs and regulators under the predicate offense of terrorism financing. Top 3 suspected predicate offenses were tax crimes, 1,650 STRs, corruption, 897 STRs, and smuggling, 3 to 28 STRs. Major reporting sectors include commercial banks, exchange companies, and microfinance banks. Top 3 STR reporting districts: Karachi, 9,214, Lahore, 7,687, and Islamabad, 2,496. 5,114,604 currency transaction reports, CTRs, have been received since inception until September 30, 2019. National Accountability Bureau? The NNB, established under the NAB Ordinance, exercises jurisdiction across Pakistan at both the federal and provincial levels. However, the Bureau lacks the power to investigate and prosecute cases of terrorist financing because the schedule of the ordinance does not include it as an offense. The MLA aims to prevent money laundering, combat terrorist financing, and forfeit assets derived from such activities. Offenses listed under the AMLA schedule include those under the Anti-Terrorism Act, ATA. However, NAB is not authorized to investigate terrorist financing, which limits its effectiveness. Federal Investigation Agency. The FIA is another agency designated to investigate and prosecute under the AMLA. However, its jurisdiction under the FIA Act 1974 is limited to federal government matters, preventing it from operating at the provincial level or addressing offenses committed solely by private individuals. This restriction hinders cooperation between investigating agencies due to conflicting jurisdictions. The FIA can only handle terrorist financing cases with an interprovincial scope or those assigned by the federal government, limiting its capacity to act effectively. Anti-Narcotics Force, ANF. The ANF is also designated for investigating and prosecuting under the AMLA. However, the Control of Narcotic Substances Act, 1997, focuses on controlling narcotics and related matters. Consequently, the ANF's inclusion as an investigating agency under the AMLA is less relevant and limited in scope. Federal Board of Revenue, FBR. The Directorate General, Intelligence and Investigation Inland Revenue, FBR investigates and prosecutes cases under the AMLA where earnings from crimes are accumulated under offenses committed under the Customs Act 1969. Issues and recommendations. The absence of a joint task force hinders the practical implementation of the AMLA. Each agency operates within its own sphere, resulting in a lack of cooperation. This fragmentation leads to ineffective prevention of money laundering and terrorist financing. Recommendations: establish a single specialized agency to handle money laundering and terrorist financing cases. Alternatively, create a joint task force comprising representatives from all four agencies to enhance coordination and effectiveness.